Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the 9th or 10th, we lost track, the 9th or 10th episode of El Escándalo. Joining me today, I have two special guests. I have the CEO and founder of Capital Infusion, Matthew, and I have a senior advisor, Christian. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, okay. We ready. I love it. So, guys, just tell me a little bit about how you started the organization, what you do for our community, and Chris, some of the experiences that you've had.
So I'll take it from the start here. So essentially, I'm a native New Yorker. Grew up there, worked at Washington Mutual, then J.P. Morgan Chase. A lot of the banks say no. I went into a space afterwards in 2013.
Say no to what? What do they say no to?
To giving loans to businesses. So what we do at Capital Infusion is we fund businesses either through lines of credit. We work with certain 40, 50 different banks, or we self-fund them ourselves. So essentially, working at the bank, it's very hard to obtain bank financing. So I started in the subprime section of business lending, where it's much more friendly for smaller businesses that aren't served by the SBA, that aren't served by local banks in order to get them funding. Worked at a couple different companies, moved here October 2018 to Miami. Love it here.
Better than New York, right?
Tough. I love New York.
Because you're a New Yorker.
But I love Latin women and I love the community.
It's a love-hate relationship. So tell me a little bit about your experience when you were in conventional banking. You said you were in Washington Mutual?
Washington Mutual is an old business I went out.
No, I know. I had in Brickell. I don't know if you remember, Chris, that there was a Washington Mutual that's now a Chase. That was a Wachovia.
Then one
all
Chase,
that stuff.
and, yeah.
So just how was that experience, and what didn't you like about it? Did you feel that maybe you weren't reaching what your fullest was? Like, what was the rift that caused for you?
Well, I worked at Washington Mutual from 2005, 2006, 2007. Caught the tail end
of that depression.
Yep. And everything was great, and we had stated income. And if you come in and someone was like, "Hey, listen, I want a mortgage. You have 700 credit? No problem. Gotcha."
That's where that movie, The Big Short, right?
Yeah, I caught the tail end of it. I made some money actually during the end of it too. But yeah, I was there. The Fed made J.P. Morgan Chase buy Washington Mutual. That whole thing got shut down. I went through depression, went through COVID, and kind of just, and we'll get to this later, but the things that I learned during the depression
is what is helping
during the recession is what really helped me understand and how to prevent certain things within our company and the business that we have.
Right. So what would you say is like the traditional mechanism of a small business owner, an entrepreneur, or anybody who needs a loan? What is the traditional mechanism readily available to them?
I mean, right now, it's especially right now past COVID, banks aren't really lending. I mean, anyone who owns a small business, if you don't have 700 credit, 3 years in business, if you go to J.P. Morgan Chase, even if you do, they're likely going to say no. Their approval rates are extremely low. Our approval ratio right now, this isn't so roundabout. For anyone who applies with us, we have approximately a 70% approval ratio.
Wow. So compared to going to a traditional conventional bank, which you're going to be more likely to not get approved. So, it's funny. Have you seen Captain America and the Winter Soldier?
No.
Yeah. No? Okay, so check me out. You remember how in the movie, the guy, the Winter Soldier, is trying to get a loan from the bank, but he can't because of
like history. He doesn't have
he doesn't have enough.
History.
So I imagine that experience, the one that we saw in the Winter Soldier, right, is very similar to how small businesses happen. So what are some of the criterias that banks look for, and why could it be hard for a small business to meet them?
I mean, with the traditional lending, you really need several years in business, 2 years business tax returns, 2 years personal tax returns, positive returns, a P&L and balance sheet that's up to date, accurate, and profitable. Sometimes you need collateral like a property or some physical asset that you can put up as collateral. We don't care about that stuff. God forbid something happened, you have bad credit. I don't really care. We look at your business. And Christian can speak more upon some of the criteria. So I brought Christian on just to go back to my story a little bit. Started the company in 2019. It was me and one other person. We built up. We did $12 million funding our first year. Last year through COVID, we were going to probably pace for 30. We got to $21 million in funding.
Which is still an increase from your first year.
Huge. Yeah. And this year we're on pace, somewhere hit between $35 to $40 million in funding. And what makes us a little unique is that we're in Miami. We focus on, funding nationwide, but you can actually come into our office. We're in Brickell. Right. You can sit down with Christian, tell him your story, and in English or in Spanish.
Yeah.
Claro que sí.
Cualquiera de las dos, papi.
Yeah.
Exactly what he said. And Christians actually spends a lot of time on the phone, consulting, talking to business owners, and you got to give a spiel about kind of what you talk about.
So it's pretty much, man, we go over everything as far as the financials go, what a client needs. So typically they come in and they tell us, we need this much for
Whatever
X
project or whatever they're looking to expand.
So a lot of guys come in for constructions. Construction is a big industry for us.
So like textile manufacturing, like people that build buildings.
Everything.
So even right now, just to hop in, over 80% of the businesses in America that are construction are getting slow paid.
Slow paid. What? I don't know what that is.
They're not the people that they build for, or
their cash flow, like they don't get the funds
right,
from their clients.
They might have done a construction project where they were promised to do, let's say, half up front and then half within 90 days.
They have it in like receivables.
Yeah, and an aging AR, but for some reason, for whatever reason, because of COVID, it's not. It was 60 days. Now it's 120 days,
which is a ridiculous amount of time to wait for your money after the fact.
Right. So some will happen. Well, they'll talk to a guy like Christian, right? Mm-hmm. The guy will need $100,000 for the raw materials. He'll need,
get the project started
or finished or whatever it is, or to pay his guys.
Yeah,
maybe he hasn't paid his guys.
All these business
60, 90 days. Right. Come to him. Maybe we'll give him a year to pay it, and we'll put prepayment addendums within the contract that if he's able to pay off early, we'll get a discount on the money. So he wins. We make a little cash along the process of it. But the end consumer always here to help, and that's why a large amount of the business that we do is renewal based.
Renewal meaning that it continues. From
if we fund someone, 2/3 of the people we fund come back for more funding.
Yeah,
nice. So your retention rate's fire.
It's fire. It's fire, and you always have the referral, the occasional referral.
Right, because again, that word of mouth is the best way to grow your clientele. Like I had a great experience, so I know my business buddy, so I'll bring him to you.
Absolutely.
And we make it super easy. We don't ask for that much financials. It's more about believing in the business. We've had people who applied with funding for us that if they're on the ball, they're looking to get funded within 24 hours. It's done.
Sometimes within the same day.
But sometimes within the same day, money in their account. You talk to a guy at 10 o'clock in the morning, you can have $100,000 in your account by the end of the day.
So with this all being said, let's talk a little bit about COVID and kind of like the environment where small businesses have done. What are your thoughts and opinions on these new regulations, these new restrictions, like the actual business rules and the mask mandates? So maybe stepping away from the actual lending side, but just to get your thoughts on this whole COVID environment.
And I'm going to be as real as possible.
Please, that's all we want. El escándalo, baby. Let's do it.
The businesses that struggled through COVID, that 1/3 of the country, they just went out of business and they're not
straight
back.
up, like they're not coming back.
And
it's not the major corporations, 500s. No, they have the money.
It's the small mom and pop shops, your bagel shop on the corner, your restaurant. They're done. They're out of business. They're not coming back right now. However, they went to go work for someone else. There was some stimulus. There was things of that nature. And they're going to start coming back in. Someone who's a small business owner that had one business that failed, they tend not to be like, all right, it failed, it didn't work. They're not going to give up because a global pandemic happened. What's going to happen is they're going to work for someone else, get some more capital, and they're going to start up another business, maybe in the same industry, maybe in a different one.
Or something that adapts.
So I see 6 months from now, we're starting to see that now. There's more businesses opening today than there was 2 years ago because the ones that died from COVID are coming back alive.
Yeah, and now we're in an environment where if you look, everybody's hiring.
Right.
So do you think that this whole like compression that COVID has caused and now what is going to be an imminent boom, do you think that's going to negatively affect businesses since pretty much it looks like a lot of businesses are missing employees? So what do you think they can do in that regard?
So I think it's community based. I believe so. We hired in 2019 and 2020. We hired every single quarter because we were a growing company. I actually hired people when COVID happened. Almost like everyone thought it was nuts. I actually hired people during COVID.
That's when I got hired.
I hired them during COVID because if everyone's zigging, I'm gonna zag because I just want to I'd rather hire people on. So this way, because we were doing well, but I didn't want to slow down. So I thought if I can just hire people through COVID, I can help some people make money and still
grow your business at the same time.
Because there's still a small sector of companies that were unaffected by COVID within the nation.
I would think in my personal, so just a little background, I do the political consulting and the grassroots stuff. And believe it or not, I had one of my best years because politics didn't stop. But again, different industries, different things. So
one of my biggest clients is actually a liquor store.
Okay.
About 10 minutes outside of the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in New Orleans.
Okay.
And his sales were never busier during COVID because all the bars shut down. But because he sold eggs and other things like that, he was allowed to stay open. So his business doubled during COVID because there was no bars. So it was like everyone just
all
went
the
to him.
demand went.
All of them
to-
went right to him. Right.
Right. So he's really happy about
So it's
that.
like, yeah, I mean, like he was telling me, like, Matt, I understand that it's tough and COVID went bad for a lot of people, but my business has never been better. I'm making so much money that, not that he was happy that it happened, but
Of course, but
it benefited him, and that's why, again, I heard Christian during COVID.
Yeah. So I mean, it really does change depending on the industries.
Right.
So
can you tell us a little bit about people that you've worked
more.
with?
So I just got out of a contract right now. We're finishing it up for one of my trucking guys. Trucking,
like logistics and
freight moving across the country.
Right.
Man is in Texas. I've worked with him for a few months now. Great guy. It's always the same thing, people always need money for their business, and sometimes for whatever reason the banks aren't able to give it to you. So they come to us. That's typically when we get everything done. He can text me right now, Chris, I need money by Friday. Cool, we'll get it done. So it really comes back to that aspect. It's being able to move around what the banks do.
What have you seen that is like the most common problem for businesses? Do you think it's a cash flow issue? It's a personnel issue? Could it be like they're not making enough money because of like what have you seen in the last year that is the biggest issue for businesses across the board, or the most common?
As far as like getting funding goes?
No, well, just like what you've seen is like the reason for coming, right? Like obviously they come because there's an issue.
So I'm gonna interject real quick, right? So there's a guy when we started up, I funded him the first month. That I've funded him now 16 times
After the fact.
in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
He's a roofer in a suburb 30 minutes outside of Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a constant thing. One of my contractors didn't pay me. I need to float my payroll. I need $40,000.
Literally float. That's
Yeah. He's like, he'll text me like, Matt, I need 40 grand. I need it right now. Cool, done. Every time done because we have the relationship. I trust him. I have his bank. He gives me his username and password. Like, yo, save it because I'm going to need you. So it saves on my computer.
So obviously it's a very interpersonal relationship that you build with these business owners. So let's talk a little bit about trust. Have you ever had any situations where people weren't trustworthy? Like how do you go about picking or choosing who to fund?
Well, we want to fund anyone who qualifies. However, to gain the trust, it's through like I've been in this industry since 2013. A lot of my and in banking for years prior. We're A+ accredited through the Business Bureau, BBB. We have trust pilot reviews. We try to do that and just get some awareness. So one thing that, we hired Justin, one of our marketing guys on, is to say really for a trust factor to do more things like this. And they can put a face to what we do, what we're actually about.
Everybody, I mean, there's stereotypes about this, like the whole like loan shark, like, I'm just gonna,
Right.
So it's good that we're able to.
It humanizes me. I'm a person.
Exactly.
He's a person. We want to help your businesses.
Yeah,
It's as simple as that. Right. So we're going to do a lot of content coming on here is the first thing that we're really doing. We're going to do video testimonials soon to our local communities. We have about 15 clients that are within 30 minutes a year that we're going to travel around to do video testimonials.
Nationwide stuff. So like you said, you had the guy in New Orleans, you got that guy.
We do nationwide, but I love obviously helping the local community.
Yeah, reach out to the people that
are. So then, since you're from New York, why Miami? Like, why did you choose to come?
No state income tax.
Yeah, and it's funny. Just to get a little political here, there's such a migration of people from New York, people from Silicon Valley and California because of that very reason. Like, this is a place where you can grow a business, 0 state income tax, and is that like the biggest reason why you came? Or
to me, it's part state income tax, and obviously the weather's phenomenal.
Yeah, nobody likes
and
that.
Outside of a couple industries, I really feel like Florida and South Florida could be really served by having more businesses come here. It's very underserved because if you don't sell real estate, there's no jobs really.
Right.
It's very concentrated on real estate, commercial real estate, and business related to South America.
Yeah, we're like the corridor from LatAm, and we're like right in the key position geographically.
Right. So for me, I saw there was a niche where the business loan sector, where a lot of lenders are. There's some in Boca, Fort Lauderdale, but in South Florida, there's no real big companies that are doing what I'm doing. So we grew. We had up to 20-something people, employed right now. We have 18 right now. We're doing another hire of 4 and doing another hire of 4 before the end of the year. Hiring underwriters, admin, sales support, salespeople. But yeah, that sector, non-real estate, non-Latin America driven. We fund nationwide. So I just saw it of an opportunity of an underserved market.
Right. So could you tell me what has been like your smallest client to potentially your biggest, so I can understand like the scale?
You do smallest, I'll do biggest.
Yeah, so I mean,
Porque yo me imagino like let's say you're like Mary's Coin Laundry, even though Mary's probably don't got no problems.
They got no issue right now, man.
But let's say you're like Mary's, that would be considered like a small client.
That is a very small. Well, realistically, Mary's is probably not a good example. They're a pretty big client, I would imagine,
because of just how much like inventory,
the volume that they have, and the clientele they have. Man, they've been open for years, so they've been at it for a while.
That's what I'm saying. Like, can you tell me like what is a small client?
Would be probably right around 5,000,
like dollars.
Yeah, $5,000.
Okay.
You know, we can give that out to a client. I think one of the first deals that I worked with the company was just like that. It grew from 5,000. Then next time around, he used the money, put it into the company. Couple months after that, he came back. He was right around 15, 18. And we got him the money, got him 15. Then now he just called me back last month. It's right around 45,000. So
because again, like you said,
the money
as people start using your services, there's that integration where they just keep coming back because van a necesitarlo. So, and then what would you say is like the biggest?
All right, so my biggest client, and I'd like to keep some of my clients as anonymous as possible.
Of course.
So he owns a Mitsubishi dealership.
Understood. He
was moving location. He had a construction loan out on the property, but there was all these costs
associated with
moving. If you have a Mitsubishi dealership, you need Mitsubishi signs. Everything needs to be approved
by the person
by them. So I've over the last 18 months, I've funded him over $2.5 million. And the most I funded him, I gave him $700,000.
Oh my God.
He just was like, listen, I need a little bit of money for inventory. I need him,
which is the cars, literally the cars.
The cars themselves.
Literally the
cars. He
had
floor financing on some. I gave him $700,000 is the most recent funding for him. And he's like, listen, I'm moving locations, so I need to do the asphalt. It's like $100,000. The parking lot, all these hidden expenses that come along. This guy's doing well. This guy's doing maybe $25 million annual gross sales.
Of course.
But he needed the money. He needed it quick. It's not cheap. We're not bank rates. We get our money from banks. Yeah. But he needed it. It made sense for him, and he made a lot of money off of the money that we get.
You know what's so interesting is that like when you start talking about scale, right? Like at least I never like would think about all of those added costs. So I'll tell you a little bit about my business and some situations where I think I might have needed that. So I've had situations where since I recruit all year round, I'm always needing cash flow. But because my work requires me to get contracts, get hired by XYZ client, there have been many a times where my guys simply don't have work.
You don't have the upfront cost.
And then the part que me jode, like the part that really hurts is that I'll spend all this time recruiting to retain, but how can I retain if they don't have work? You see what I mean? So I can't employ them. I can't put them to work because I don't have that work flow. So had I had cash capital, I could have done different types of work to keep them on board, and that would have helped my business at the end, and I know I would have made money back.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So do you think there's like a lack of knowledge of these type of services when it comes to business owners?
Absolutely.
Because I started learning about it when you talked to me about it.
Man, you got to think about it. So most people think they want to go to the bank. Sure.
Right away.
If you want to go to the bank, go to the bank. Try getting money from the bank. Why not? If you can afford to wait 2-3 months to get the money, sure. If you want to,
but obviously not everybody has that time lapse.
Not everybody has a time lapse. But if you want to jump through hoops to get it, go ahead. We can facilitate it. That's pretty much where we come in and make everything happen. But as far as the retention, that comes back to that. So he can explain it a lot better.
So this is as an example of something that happened more recently to me. I helped my girlfriend's father obtain some capital for the business through some of the various lenders that we work with. Got him funded twice, and they're Colombian. He came here. He doesn't speak a word of English, by the way. So it's great when we go to dinner. He's like, "My son." I'm like,
"Sí,
all right, Pablo." But
Spanish. Yeah. Like, wow, I don't know what I'm saying.
Right. But I mean, I helped him through. My girlfriend facilitate 2 loans for him. Mm-hmm. Then we helped him fill out some forms for the EDIL to get him funding. And I got $250,000 from the EDIL, paid off all the loans.
EDIL, what is
That's the disaster relief funds.
Okay. So going into
So it's
like,
kind of like the PPP, but the other side.
which,
of
by the
it,
way,
that
I
was
definitely
given
want
out.
to talk about that, and I think we should finish with like Corona relief assistance,
Cool.
PPP, SBA loans, and how anybody listening. Because again, what I love about like the community platform is that we have access to a lot of people in Miami, and I'm telling you, like, I didn't know about this. So the people and you know, people have actually come up to me like, "Yo, let me get you an SBA loan." I'm like, I don't need that right now. So
So just to get back on that, I think there is a little bit of not so much for because this product's been around. Merchant cash advance has been around since 1998.
merchant cash advance, meaning
Yeah.
like we give you a front, so to speak, or a loan, and then obviously that has interest, which is what business
Sure,
owners-
or a traditional merchant cash advance is factoring future credit card receivables. It was
Okay.
an industry came about through funding restaurants and things of that nature and hold a percentage of credit card receivables to pay off a loan. But our product guides is we did millions of dollars with PPP.
Mhm.
We have SBA. We actually have real lines of credit. We have monthly payment remittance. We have. I don't like to say this so much because it's outside of the country. We're strictly. We have a $70 million construction deal that we help facilitate as well.
Right, that was international.
International.
Mhm.
That was in Colombia. But we, nationwide as well. Like we've had deals that we help facilitate that were $20 million construction loans.
Yeah.
That we use different parties. So it's not their main point of business. Our main point is, hey, listen, man, I mom and pop, 95% of the country is not served by the Small Business Administration, meaning they can't get an SBA. So that's where we come in to really help facilitate. And that's, I would say 90% of the deals that we do are small, smaller micro loans,
Right.
$5,000 to $500,000 quick working capital loans is mostly where we serve. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about PPP and what is that used for, and how can somebody who might need it go about getting it?
So the PPP, man, it's just payroll protection plan. There's a predestined use for the money determined by the government. You can only use it for those purposes, and whatever you don't use, you do have to pay back, which is where the whole forgiveness thing comes in. And
Understood.
People get kind of confused with it just because they think, oh, I got PPP, I don't have to pay back. No, you got to use it for the right things, or else you got to pay back.
I'm sorry to interject, but one other thing. So it's all about timing as well. So the government actually stopped allowing applications for more people to apply for PPP like a week ago.
Because they ran out of funds.
They ran out of funds.
So they're not accepting any more money for PPP right now at all. If you have an application in already and you haven't been funded, those are still being processed, but they're not allowing
new applications.
Not allowing new applications anymore.
So what's the difference between an SBA loan and then PPP? I would imagine it's the use.
So PPP is payment protection, right? So they would front, let's just say you had on a monthly basis $100,000 in payroll,
which is a lot, right?
Right. That's a bigger company. They would give you they would give you 200 2.5 times the amount. So it'd give you 200
3.5, something like that, right?
It's 2.5. 2.5.
Oh my God.
So they'll give you $250,000, and if you can prove that you used for payroll and your sales went down, it was more of a grant. They gave it to you. You did not have to.
So those were the two conditions where the money went to salaries, and you had to prove that your business income was receding or decreasing.
About 25%.
And you'd have to use it primarily for salaries. You can use a portion of that for rent or mortgage, but you couldn't do it on buying inventory. And that's where this whole, they have to shut it down because there's so much fraud.
Right?
So much fraud.
Bro, like you hear the stories of the guys buying Lamborghinis. Off the PPP boys. You see the shirts that they made?
Yeah.
I saw one on Twitter.
I think I saw it on Twitter too.
You know what I'm talking about?
Boys,
or something like
with
that.
a little Lambo logo or whatever it was.
Bro, like foul. It's just foul. But of course, that there's a great deal of misuse for it. So is the difference between an SBA loan and the PPP the use of it?
Well, no. So and the SBA is the Small Business Administration. So those are partially guaranteed money through the government.
Right.
Rates are good. There's several different types. There's 7A. There's the commercial ones, and again, we facilitate through some of our partners. I don't work on those, so my knowledge on that isn't great anymore because we have we have one or two guys in the office that handle most of our things. So PPP, they're not funding anymore. You can't apply for them. So I'm sorry. But we work with 3 different SBA lenders, so we can still facilitate those. So those are loans. EDIO is still a loan.
Yeah.
Those were maybe, I think they allowed 1 or 2% over 30 years with no prepayment penalty. Those were good. But right now they're doing either 2 to 5 year working capital loans, 10 years or 25 years if it's a commercial property loan.
Nice. So just to kind of switch away from all this banking stuff, why did you get involved in this? Like why do you like this whole lending business side of stuff from banking, right? So like what drew you to it?
So my dad was actually a small business owner.
Mm-hmm.
He was a diesel truck mechanic in New Jersey.
Wow.
Patterson, New Jersey. He didn't really understand how to obtain financing, didn't really understand
the nuances
of business.
World,
and, he got good at something, but he didn't have the business courses or anything to really understand, how to turn a profit or how to manage his cash flow,
right.
And his business failed.
And as a result of that, it motivated you to want to help other business owners.
I understand cash flow. I understand how to make businesses make a profit on the money if it's a gross margin, the spread difference. And I just thought with the knowledge that I have from some of my business school training, the 10 years of experience within the financial sector, I like small business. I understand more than almost anything how to help businesses be profitable. And I saw my dad fail. And, as a little kid, I was like, dude, my dad failed at something.
And
that's my hero.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
You look up to him.
It's like, damn.
And you know what's funny? My dad also has a similar story. I don't think his business failed, but his business did stop because of my parents' divorce and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I still see that businesses, he didn't know nothing about like how to go get a loan. And I remember he did get a bank loan and he did get approved, but he would come home and he would just be so frustrated at how long and how many like
2-3
papers
months.
And how and it's the thing is like they would tell you, no, bro, they would tell you like, okay, we got everything. We'll see you in 2 weeks. The 2 weeks happen and it's like, oh, wait. But the thing is that, and just that whole bureaucracy of it all, like killed his spirit.
I think we talked about this once. Like, how my dad still had the taxi company and
everything.
Exactly. With COVID, with the whole thing with Uber, the business went under, man.
No.
He still has a couple functioning taxis and he has them out, but it's not the same. So it's like for him to be even right now within the industry that he's in to go get a loan at the bank, it's tough, man.
It's rough.
It's really rough.
I'm 6 months in still right now trying to gain additional capital for capital infusion so we can fund on the direct side. So we're partially a broker where we connect them to other funders.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right, if it's an SBA loan, we don't do SBA loans.
Of course.
That's through the government. We have to connect them. Or the lines of credit. We have 3 different companies that do lines of credit. We have to connect them. We don't do this internally. But some of the loans that we do. So I've been trying to obtain more capital for the business, so this way I can deploy it for
more funds when
for the local businesses and all the businesses that we fund. I'm 6 months in,
and you're still waiting on.
Yo, what's the deal? Give me another month. What do you mean, bro? We're doing okay and everything's fine. We don't. It's just trying to get an additional line of credit.
Of course, but it's
so
just
this way
the process.
It's a process.
So in conclusion, what would you say is the future of small businesses in America, considering that we're on the decline of Corona? Like, what do you foresee for the rest of 2021?
I'm gonna hear what Christian thinks.
It's actually a good question. So businesses throughout the whole country are, they need money no matter where you put it. I think that's where companies like ours come in to be able to facilitate it. Not everybody can sit through and go through a whole hassle that he's gone through to get money for our company. So it's really just comes into how quickly you need it. Timing really is everything. It comes down to being able to facilitate it in the timely manner that they need it.
Especially on their timeline, right? Because again, it would be preferable if everybody had a month or 2 of time, pero no todo mundo, has that benefit.
So for me, I saw a lot of businesses through COVID. Like, listen, if you're not trying to purposely default on a loan, we help people out. There's some people that are still on modified payments.
Like when you say purposely default, like, yo, I'm not going to pay.
Yeah, I'm not paying you.
Like, I'm not paying.
Come sue me, see me in court. I'm not paying you.
Like,
that type of situation.
Energy.
But, for us, we have some people like, listen, man, my restaurant's at 25%. How the hell am I supposed to pay you what I owe you? It's like, all right, we'll work with you. We'll take 25%. Like, let's just say you had a weekly payment of $1,000. Just pay us $250 a week until sales normalize. We'll work with you. And we actually, oddly enough, we had almost a 0% default rate during COVID because we actually cared.
And you had that relationship.
Like, dude, as long as you answer me, I'm
right,
not
because at the end of the day, if you don't
have that trust,
because the guy could just be like, man, F this guy, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, I'm not
sorry
doing
about
anything
that.
You call them, they're not answering.
Yeah, and it's just like, you already know.
It comes back to having that relationship and being able to talk.
Of course,
I'm going through this. I need this, and that.
And so it's a motto that we have. Like, we have a 1-800 number, right? Mm-hmm. But we're not a 1-800 number. Any client that you have a personal cell phone number, you have email, call me, text me, whatever you need me, bro, I'm here.
Man, you guys have put me on today because there's so much nuances to all these things, and I can tell you, like, Miami has one of the most amount of small businesses, and because of Florida,
Absolutely.
So definitely the market's here
in the country. It's one of the highest amount of small business concentration in the entire country statistically.
And a lot of us coming from Hispanic countries, man, we
don't get this, bro.
We don't have this. We don't have this. They don't teach us this back home.
No,
I'm Colombian. They don't have.
It's really. I think
home.
it's really more of like we don't have that like businessy culture.
No,
like that.
I think you're wrong about that. There's Hispanics in general have really good business culture. In our countries, we come here, we don't know what the hell we're doing.
But I mean, like the financial mechanism, like, and well, I mean, Cuba's a different story. Colombia is a capitalist country, but
yeah.
So check me out. Where can people find more information? And what would you say right now to a business that is on the brink of maybe I need a loan, maybe I don't? What would you say to them?
Well, first off, www.capital-infusion.com. Phone number, hope I remember it, 1-877-262-0011. It's a 1-800 number. If you need to talk to a guy, no hard credit pull, no problem. We'll hear you out. If you don't qualify, no big deal. We're not going to ding your credit or anything like that. If you just want a consultation, you're a local person, come in and sit down with Christian. He's a nice guy. We have 15 guys that you can sit down with, underwrite your file in person, and see if we're a good fit for a long-term, business relationship.
So we can do it in Spanish, English. We got a guy that speaks Italian. I think somebody on there got to speak French. I hope so. I don't know.
Awesome, man. Well, guys, I really do appreciate you guys joining me on today. And make sure to check them out, capital-infusion.com. And more importantly, y'all, thank you so much.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Y listo.